The backstage area of America's Got Talent was buzzing with energy. Contestants laughed nervously, staff rushed about with microphones and cameras, and the sound of muffled applause leaked through the heavy curtains. Yet, in the middle of all that noise, one young girl stood perfectly still, her small hands wrapped tightly around a silver locket. Inside was a picture of her mother, a woman whose gentle smile had been her anchor in life. Now that smile was only a memory. She was only 15, yet her eyes held the weight of grief far older. Just months earlier, her mother had passed away after a long illness. For years, her mom had been her biggest supporter, the one who encouraged her to sing even when she was shy. "Your voice is a gift," her mom would whisper, "and one day, the world will hear it." But when she left this world, the girl felt like her own voice had gone with her. As she stood backstage, waiting for her name to be called, she could feel her heart pounding like a drum. The lights from the stage spilled through the gap in the curtain, illuminating her tear-filled eyes. A staff member asked if she was ready. She nodded, though her body trembled. Deep down, she whispered to herself, "This is for you, Mom." The audience outside had no idea of the story she carried, the ache behind her timid smile. They were about to see a young contestant walk onto the stage. But for her, this was so much more. This was a goodbye, a tribute, and a promise to the woman she had lost. The girl stepped onto the stage, her sneakers squeaking slightly against the polished floor. The judges looked up: Simon, Sophia, Heidi, and Howie. Simon leaned forward, studying her carefully, as he often did with nervous performers. "What's your name?" he asked. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "My name is Emily. And why are you here today?" Simon continued. She swallowed hard, clutching the microphone with both hands. "I'm here for my mom. She passed away. She always told me to sing, so this is for her." The judges exchanged glances, their expressions softening. The audience fell into a hush, sensing that something important was about to happen. The piano began, a slow, haunting melody. Emily took a shaky breath and began to sing. At first, her voice was fragile, almost trembling under the weight of her grief. But then, something shifted. Each note grew stronger, rising like a wave that carried both her pain and her love. The lyrics told the story of loss, but also of hope, that even though her mother was gone, her memory lived in every heartbeat, every breath, and every song. The crowd leaned in, their silence deafening. Even the cameras zoomed close, capturing the tears glistening in her eyes as she sang with everything inside her. At one point, her voice cracked, and for a moment, the audience held its breath. But instead of faltering, she pushed through, her raw emotion only making the performance more powerful. By the final chorus, Emily was no longer just a contestant, she was a daughter singing directly to the heavens. When the last note hung in the air, there was no sound in the room. For a full second, the silence was almost sacred. Then suddenly, applause thundered through the theater. People rose to their feet, clapping and cheering. Many were wiping their eyes. On the judges' panel, Sophia dabbed her cheeks with a tissue. Heidi placed her hand over her heart. Howie shook his head in awe, visibly moved. And Simon Cowell, the man known for his sharp critiques, sat frozen, his eyes glistening. He had been touched in a way the audience rarely saw. When the cheering finally softened, Emily lowered her microphone, still clutching her locket. Her chest rose and fell quickly, her heart racing from the release of all the emotions she had held inside for so long. She whispered under her breath, "That was for you, Mom." Simon leaned forward, his expression uncharacteristically tender. "Emily," he began, his voice breaking slightly, "that was extraordinary. I think your mom is listening right now. And I think she would be so proud of you. What you just did wasn't just singing, it was healing. For you, and for all of us who have ever lost someone we love." The audience erupted into cheers again, many nodding and clapping through tears. Emily looked down shyly, overwhelmed, tears spilling onto her cheeks. Then Simon did something rare, something that made the whole room gasp. He reached out his hand, hovered over the golden buzzer, and slammed it down with force. Instantly, the theater exploded with a shower of golden confetti, falling like blessings from the sky. Emily gasped, her hands flying to her mouth as her eyes widened in disbelief. Golden lights filled the stage, the confetti shimmering like stars around her. She looked up, arms outstretched, as though she was reaching for her mother. The audience screamed with joy, standing and clapping even louder than before. Through her tears, Emily smiled, a genuine, radiant smile that had been hidden since her mother's passing. At that moment, she wasn't just a grieving daughter. She was an artist, a fighter, and a dreamer. Simon stood, applauding her, while the other judges cheered. "You're going straight to the live shows," Simon said, his voice firm but emotional. "And trust me, this is only the beginning for you." Emily looked at the falling confetti, held her locket tightly to her heart, and whispered one last time, "We did it, Mom." The camera zoomed in on her tear-streaked face as the golden confetti rained down, sealing this as one of the most unforgettable and emotional golden buzzer moments in AGT history.